This monitor setup is pretty badass, not gonna lie, but it's time to switch it out for something a little more badass. You see this box right here? Yeah, that's right. Odyssey G9 49-inch ultra-wide. I've wanted one of these monitors for such a long time, but I waited because they were always 1080p, and then it finally came out to 1440p, and I just wasn't ready because I had this awesome quad monitor setup. But now that main monitor is starting to have a little bit of issues, the right ultra-wide's having a little bit of pixelization up at the top. I don't know what's going on, but I said, you know what? This one behind me, 1440p, it's 240 hertz, and it's just sexy. So I pulled the trigger at 1,300 bucks, kind of nuts because I think it was 1,000 on Black Friday, but I didn't know I was gonna buy one, right? I was okay, I was content, but now it's like, you know what? I need this because I said so. So I'm getting it, and I did. So yeah. All right, so I waited until red zone was gonna happen to actually tear the setup down. So let's take a look real quick at what we're working with. So the problem with this monitor arrangement is that really they're heavy monitors. And so this bottom one tilted forward, which then messed this one up and pushed all these apart. And because these are curved ultra wides, they never really pressed up properly. So it's a cool monitor setup, but as you can tell, it's all messed up right now. I just have not cared enough to fix it because when you tighten one down and the other one gets put, it's an absolute nightmare. With that aside though, it is extremely effective for the kind of work that I was doing. I was utilizing basically every pixel of these screens, especially when working and needing to multitask, really effective. The reason I'm switching out for a bigger display is because, well, I just want it to look a little neater and I kind of want to simplify the setup as much as possible. With that said, I was supposed to be out of this setup a long time ago. I've submitted multiple offers to different homes, and I swear to God, it is impossible to buy a house right now unless you have cash in hand, ready to go, or you're willing to go like way over asking, which, nah. And also, yeah, that adhesive shit doesn't work. It really doesn't work on this top. It just keeps coming down, so I don't care. I'm actually leaving this desk here for my dad when I move out because he's gonna use this as his office. So I'm not gonna do any hot glue or nailing or any of that. I'm just leaving it, you know? I don't really care. I'm gonna be taking these monitors out, cleaning up a little bit, but the main idea here is just to set up the big 49-inch ultra wide and potentially one of these on top. I can't go to just one monitor, even if it's 49 inches wide. It's just, I don't think it's gonna work for me. With that said though, this computer is still doing its job, absolutely gorgeous. But I think we're gonna replace this little GPU over here. 2080 Ti, yeah, of course, badass, love it. But we're gonna switch it up, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, red zone is about to start and I got my Swiffer. So basically, we're good to go. Time to rip this bitch apart and get things started. This part is always sad and a little scary because we're turning this off and hopefully the next time I turn it on, it turns on, you know, because we're unplugging stuff. And yeah, anyways, let's just do this. I'm surprised it didn't want to do like an update, you know, because it always wants to do a fucking update. That was pretty cool, not gonna lie. And don't forget, flip the switch in the back. The soundbar was an afterthought, and honestly, I love having the soundbar because I love having speakers. I do have the really nice HS8s. I've been so out of the game, I totally forget if that's what they're called. Yeah, HM8s? HS8s. I don't know. Either way, I would love to be able to fit them. I don't know if it's gonna fit right now with this new monitor, but when I get a house, I'll have a desk that's like at least 3 times bigger than this one. I'm gonna take a break from filming right now because this is about to get really, really depressing, you know? The end for some of these guys. All right, so quick update here. As you can see, things are starting to take shape, but right now my focus is on my keyboard, the K70 Rapid Fire from Corsair. I am cleaning it. I did the cotton swabs, a little bit of alcohol, all that. The actual keyboard itself is very, very clean. Then I decided to take the keycaps, put them in a large bowl, filled up with a little bit of soap, do warm water, and it sat in there for at least an hour. Then, you know, put it through the strainer. You're left with some wet keys. And now I'm doing my favorite thing, taking the wet key, and I'm taking my little X-Power, you know, electric, it's not a vacuum, it's a blower, so it's kind of like compressed air, but electric, and I'm just doing this. That's it. Then I add it to my pile, and I'm gonna go through all this, get the keyboard back up and working, add in the Go XLR, check out the potential of adding the HS8 back to the mix, getting all of the different things wired back up, and then maybe a little bit of wire management, and we'll check it out. Hopefully I like it. I mean, so far, it's pretty nice, but I'm down to 2 monitors rather than the 4. We'll see what happens. All right, here is our update. I'm honestly really digging it, except for these monitors, speakers, whatever you want to call them. The problem is I space them out properly on each side, and they still just don't look perfect. Like, they're not symmetrical. It's just driving me crazy. But this is a 6-foot desk, so I measured dead center. This is all lined up perfectly center, so that's good. And then I'm doing 3.5 inches off of each side for the base, and it just doesn't look right, even though they're literally spaced perfectly. So I'm gonna have to mess with that. Not too worried. Really digging how all this is looking. Of course, all these wires in the back I'll clean up. Still not my biggest worry. The keyboard is looking pretty clean. Definitely need to buy a new wrist rest. They stay dirty no matter what I do, so I'll buy a new one of those. But yeah, looking pretty good so far. Now it's just time to, turn the computer on and make sure everything works. Once someone finally lets me buy their freaking house, I'm going to get a bigger desk. Now, as far as depth, I love this. It's 39 inches deep, which is perfect, but it's only 6 feet wide, and it's a butcher block from Lowe's, really cheap. Solid, looks great, but I want something much longer with the same depth. So that is definitely one of the problems with this setup. So yeah, for now, I'm not too worried about how this looks, although I do think it looks pretty badass. And I don't know, on camera it might look a little like tight, but that's mainly because everything's black, all the screens are off and stuff, so it kind of blends in a little bit. But trust me, it's spaced out just enough. I'm happy with it, and I'm not gonna add any fancy lighting behind the monitors. I have a strip under the desk, but I'm gonna wait to do all that until I get a house, which hopefully is sometime soon. I swear to God, if I don't get a fucking house soon. So I finally got it set up, and yeah, I don't know what the hell it's doing. Hopefully that's just the cable. I don't know. Let's find out. All right, so here is the update so far. First off, fixing that little issue just required me to switch to a different display port on the GPU. Little worrisome that happened, but we'll look past that for now. As far as the monitor itself, initial impressions, it's gorgeous, it's nice, I really do like it, but it's gonna take some getting used to because, for one, I'm so used to full screening a video on YouTube. You do that here and there's just a lot of black space on the screen. So I'm gonna have to figure out a workflow that works best for me. Again, it's just something over time I'll figure out, and not a big deal. The other thing is the speakers. I mean, they sound great, right? These monitors are awesome. I don't think you'll be able to hear it, but I think there's a ground loop or something going on that's causing the weirdest feedback. So I was troubleshooting here. I got this cable, this is split, right? TRS, whatever. It's not touching anything. So I was like, okay, it's not like, one of these power bricks or something is causing an issue. I even tried cutting out the Go XLR, going direct into the computer, different devices, things like that. Still getting the issue. So something up here must be causing this issue, and I'll have to look into that, but I don't care. I actually just turned it down in the back. So for instance, this was like mid, and once I turned it down, it's not as noticeable and I could still get a decent volume out of this. So it's okay for now, but man, it's nice having this setup again, and I definitely need the subwoofer to go with it. But aside from that, I mean, it really is a dream setup for most people, and I'm digging it. And having this 34-inch ultrawide up at the top, I'm able to add in just enough, still figuring out, what that's gonna look like, but it's usually pretty static, and it's more so for monitoring certain things like TweetDeck, my Nest camera, my Spotify, Slack, so on and so forth. Down here is really where all the action happens. So yeah, not too worried about that. That's stuff that I will figure out as I use it more often. Now, as far as down here, I didn't really plan on doing much cable management, but it's actually looking pretty good. So for one, here's like my MagSafe charger, right? So that cable I'll probably pin up. We have the LED lights, I can pin that cable up, an extra power strip and stuff. So that's fine. Like for me, I don't mind showing stuff like that off because it's zip tied, all right? You could literally suck my ass. The big problem is that I used a lot of zip ties for the previous setup. And so what happened was, if I really want to do this right, like here's one of the, I think that was the HDMI cable, I'll have to undo all these zip, I'm not in the mood to do that. So instead, you know, I'm gonna clean up a little bit. Like, these are easy to clean up. I got this little box up here that I can shove everything into, and it'll look good. Still have to add my footrest back. Of course, room for a subwoofer, but yeah, you can see like there's a lot of cables that were here that are no longer needed. And then these are the lights that I was using behind the monitors on a clamp from Home Depot, but I'm not gonna do that. You know, it's like I could, but I won't. Look at this monitor though. Oh my God, it is so girthy. Look at that curve, man. I do think the earth is flat, but this is not. I mean, you cannot deny that, am I right? And something I mentioned before is like, this isn't perfectly laying on top, but when I'm sitting down here, it's perfect. And if it goes any lower, that top display, those bottom corners start to get covered. So this is really the best scenario. And man, it makes the 34-inch ultrawide look pretty small. And you know what? This ultrawide is still kicking. I got it June 2015, and I gotta say, it's awesome. So yeah, still figuring out certain things, but you know, for instance, I gotta leave this here. I love it. This thing, by the way, if you haven't seen it, it's great. MagSafe, boom, love it. I took the Go XLR stand that I got, it's 3D printed, and I super glued it today, put little adhesive things on the bottom finally. Looks great, stays in place, can't complain. I 3D printed this thing for my Stream Deck, so that's there. Looking good. These cables back here I can easily zip tie, but that's assuming that I want to and will, but I probably won't. And then, by the way, this hydro flask, guys, you know, in the last year or whatever, I had to start drinking a lot of water because I was dying. And I'm telling you, get yourself an iron flask. This isn't sponsored, but this is 64 ounces. I drink like 3-4 of these a day usually, and it's the best one with the straw on top. Don't sleep on it. I'll put a link below. But yeah, I'm sure you guys will have a lot to say in the comments, trashing on this setup, and that's fine, okay? Let me know your thoughts, honestly, because I did go from a quad over-the-top monitor setup and somewhat simplified, but still kept a lot of that screen real estate. So just trying to switch it up. It's 2022. You got to keep it fresh. Anyways, it is the next day. 24 hours of using this monitor, and I definitely have thoughts. But first, check it out. Looking pretty good, right? Let's go underneath here. Oh yeah, this is great. So yeah, this fell again. Look how many pieces of adhesive tape are there. It's just never going to stick. But all things considered, it looks pretty neat under here. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Of course, there's little cables that I can easily tie up, but the way I look at it is I'm not 100% set on every detail yet, so I'm not going to start going ham on zip ties because I've done that before and it's a pain in the ass to undo. Earlier in the video, I mentioned possibly changing out the GPU. It looks like I might be able to get my hands on a 3080 or something similar, so stay tuned. That would be another video. But if you guys have any other thoughts on, you know, things I could do to this setup to kind of pimp it out, let me know. But for now, because I plan on buying a house, this might be a good stopping point. Now that I've been using the monitor, I can definitely say I like it more than I did yesterday. Yesterday, I wasn't really blown away or like, oh my God, I'm so happy I wasted $1,300 on this. Today, I'm more like, okay, I see the potential. So I was able to edit a video on there and I was doing a little bit of work and I'm like, okay, this kind of works. For instance, when I'm in Premiere, I could just keep it to the middle of the screen, have some bins, have some folders, have a script, have different assets and stuff off to either side. So for me, that works pretty well. Although I know some people would rather have the entire screen full, which I'm not a huge fan of unless you have a lot of windows within Premiere that you need to use. But again, you could just drag those out of Premiere so it all works out. On the screen right now is my second channel. I'll leave a link to it down below. I think my last video was pretty good, so go check that out. But I'll be back soon, and if you guys have any video requests or anything like that, let me know. But with that said, thanks for watching, and catch ya on the flippity flop. All right, okay, see you later.